Quick question. Where would you like to see the Bristol pound in 10 years' time?
I'd like to see it as a sort of an uber sort of international currency. I think if we
replacing the dollar.
Yeah, replacing the dollar.
The money launderer's currency of choice.
The Globo pound.
Skyscraper.
Yeah, backed by oil, coal, and frack gas. Anyway,
you know this is going on YouTube now.
I'd like
Confessions of the Bristol pound.
It'd be great if we had, a few percent of the local economy was being spent in Bristol pounds. That would make a massive difference to the independent sector, and that would make a big difference to what it feels like to live in Bristol.
Have you had any? What's your threshold? Your sort of, you say the independent sector, but presumably you wouldn't have allowed Tesco to sign up. That would be interesting.
There's an interesting argument, which
where's the boundary?
That's basically locally owned independent is the kind of criteria, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, for example, the cooperative group probably wouldn't qualify. If there was a local co-op, it was a buying co-op for people, that would qualify. The credit union qualifies because we're local.
The traders wouldn't qualify.
What is the disadvantage to Tesco or whatever signing up to? It's not that they want to. I mean, wouldn't that be?
Well, that is one of the arguments that's been put, and that is actually quite interesting. Is that if you allowed Tesco to accept it, or if you didn't prevent them from accepting it, actually that means they've then got to, by definition, spend some of their money locally. However, for the integrity of the scheme, and for the fact that it's got to work for the local independent sector, because that's what it really is all about.
What about the region?
It wouldn't feel right, and I don't think it would be right to allow Tesco in. And it definitely wouldn't work for us in Stokes-Croft.
No.
We'll just not keep you on Tesco at all.
You must presumably have a bit of a difficulty if you've got like a small restaurant chain or coffee bar chain that perhaps a bit regional but not national. I mean, would you?
We've got exactly that has come up a couple of times actually, and
like the lounge chain, for example.
The lounge chain, Iguana, and quite possibly at some point Boston Tea Party could end up national. So you've got companies like that, and what we normally say to them is if there's a grey area, you say, okay, you're locally based and you started here, but now you're a national chain. But do you have a local sourcing policy? Because some of them do. We've been approached by bigger companies that have started in London, they're based in and around the southeast, but also in Bristol. And they say, and we have a really strong local sourcing policy, and here's where we get all our goods and services from, and this is what we believe in, and it's written into it. So it's discretionary. Ultimately, it's discretionary and based on a board decision if it's not clear. And we will consider those sort of grey area companies if they take a very proactive approach to supporting the local economy.
That's true.
So over to James, and the other aspect of it is, of course, generally banking, or not banking, or financial services locally through the credit union.
We do still call it banking because that's the phrase that most people are most aware of. And credit unioning hasn't yet become a verb, so we're quite happy to work in banking. Just don't call us a bank. That's the big no-no, because we're definitely not. So I thought what I'd do is just explain at the start what credit union is, and then sort of why it's a little bit different, particularly thinking about it in the context of local, as Ciaran mentioned, the democratic side of it as well, and why it really does make a difference in terms of the connection between you, me and everybody else who is a member of it, and how money is used transparently and locally. So, are there any credit union members here? I know I am, and Ciaran, she is. Here we go. So 4 out of, it's not bad, that's 30%-ish market penetration of this group. The average across the country is about 1.5%. We're quite a young idea in the UK, but credit unions exist all around the world. I think there's about 100 different countries where there are credit union systems, and they're very large and strong, particularly in Canada, the United States, Australia, and Ireland as well, where up to 40% of the population are members of their local credit union. What is it? It is a financial services provider. So we are in the business of helping meet people's needs for banking services, whether that's saving accounts, current accounts, personal loans, obviously things like the Bristol pound as well, which we're involved in. In the future it might mean things like a cash ISA, hopefully within 6 months or so. 3 or 4 years time it could be mortgages that we would be looking to offer as well. Basically anything that's around people, and particularly local people in terms of finances we'd be looking to try and help provide. But it is a cooperative as well. So unlike the traditional high street bank where if you go in as a customer, thank you very much, they'll take your money, but you don't get any say in how the bank operates. In fact, even if you're a shareholder, the chances are your shareholding is going to be so small as a percentage of the overall ownership that your voice really isn't going to count very much in terms of asking them what they do or trying to persuade them to do things differently. With the credit union, it's very much one member, one vote. So whether you've got £10 saved up, or you've got £100, or you've got £10,000, you've got an equal say in the running of the cooperative. And that's very good in terms of having that transparency, but also having real proper accountability. So if I mess up managing people's money, which I don't, by the way, hopefully not, then I know that I'm going to be answering to an angry group of members at the AGM at the end of the year who are going to want to know what's going on and why things are the way they are. There's very much the people around the local area, the people around the membership itself are in control. So really, yeah, all about the members. In Bristol, in order to use the credit union, you have to be a member of the credit union, which is one of the differences between credit unions and, say, building societies, which are a similar sort of mutual model, but they can provide services and do provide services to non-members these days. The credit union is limited to just providing services to its members. So in order to use the services, you have to qualify for membership. Quite a lot of different types of qualifications. So if you're an employee of the police service, for example, there is a credit union that its qualification is being an employee or a former employee of the police service. If you belong to particular faith groups, there are some credit unions that are tied to that as a qualification. For us in Bristol, it's living or working in the former Avon County. So you might be able to make it out, it's a bit dark on the side here, but there's a red line around the former county of Avon there, and that is, anything within that line is the membership area. You might think it's a little bit odd in that it goes down the middle of the Bristol Channel.
That's on, Steve.
Not Steep Home, that was going to be our offshore financial centre. we're just trying to get some tax exemptions so that we can have proper offshore accounts from Steep Home. But it was also just in case they parked a prison ship off Weston-super-Mare, so we wouldn't have to disenfranchise those people who were there from potential membership. So that's why the line's there down the middle. But it's definitely